creating conversation that counts. It's what we do on arrow.net, ARROE.net. We are unplugged and totally uncut with Clare Fieseler.
Hi, Arrow. It's great to talk to you.
Man, I'll tell you what, you've got a book here that's going to change people's lives. You are opening up a door for young ladies as well as all ladies to say, hey, look, I can do this. I should have done it.
That's really nice of you to say. The feedback has been really positive so far. The book was only released yesterday, but I've already gotten text messages from parents and messages saying that the kids were reading it late at night last night after bedtime, reading it at breakfast. I think kids are hungry for stories about science that are kind of new and fresh. So absolutely. Because we've jumped into this generation now where it's like, if you want to do it, go do it, and there's nothing standing in your way anymore. Go do what you want to do. Yes, it's true, but I actually might push back on that. There is stuff standing in their way, and I think that's actually what this book is about. I think this book is a realistic take, trying to not sugarcoat it too much. But there's going to be some real obstacles. There's going to be failures. People, there's these gender stereotypes and biases that you can't control. They're out there. But here are some women who persevered nonetheless. And it wasn't easy, but they did it. And I think the other thing that I think is, which is great, is like, yes, it's go out and do it. And here are some obstacles to be wary of. But the women in our book are predominantly under the age of 45 years old. And so I feel like they're young, they're fresh, they're relatable.
Well, they said that the millennials would come in and change everything, and it really does look like that they are. They're coming in with strength. And that's what I love about what's happening to that particular generation, is that they came in to make change.
Yeah. I actually have even more optimism about the next generation, like the generation of young kids right now. Frankly, I'm a little bit even more optimistic about them and their ability to make change too.
The book is called No Boundaries, and what's really interesting about this is, to me, I looked at it and really dove into it because it's more than a book; it's a tool. It's a place of inspiration.
Yeah. Well, the thing. Someone said, hey, this kind of is like a yearbook of all different types of career paths.
Right.
And the thing I like about it is we didn't really set out to do it, but we wanted it to kind of reflect, hey, there's a lot of different things you can do in STEM. And there was this study about how the media, how TV represents, STEM characters, science characters on TV. And a study found that, less than 2% they looked like 1,000 science characters, less than 2% were what I do, which is conservation biology, zoology, and even less than 2% were space scientists and astronauts. Most of them are doctors, which is great. I love a doctor, right? A medical doctor. But this book really tries to show that there are so many diverse types of paths out there for girls today. 25 women explorers and scientists. And one thing that my wife loves, because she's a school teacher, is that you offer advice. Most books do not offer advice. Oh, well, I would love to talk to your wife. She sounds fascinating. Yeah, we do. We wanted to give girls advice because, I have my own advice, but, it's better to pool advice, especially from women from, really different backgrounds.
Yeah, because, so many of us, when we were growing up through our careers and stuff like that, we were always told what to do. We were never advised. They just expected us to know what to do.
Yeah. One of the piece of advice from a woman named Sarah Stewart Johnson in this book, she works with NASA. She's an astrobiologist, and she's trying to find life on other planets, small cellular life. And the advice that she gives is look, you don't have to be good at math to, be involved in space science. You could be really good at computers. You can be really good at, robotics. You could be really good at science communication. NASA has a large staff just communicating all the time. You could be a great photographer and be taking great pictures of, all these, astronomical, with telescopes and whatnot. So there's the advice that she gives is just, I think, just lead on your talents. You don't need to just be a traditional, math kind of scientists. There's other ways.
I love the way that National Geographic is wrapped up in this, because National Geographic has been a part of generations of lives and things like that. And parents look at this and they know that even as adults, they can look at this book and pull something from it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, my parents grew up on National Geographic. My parents' parents grew up on National Geographic. But I think what's different is that, so my co-author, Gabby Salazar, one of the reasons why we started to write this book is that we actually went through some National Geographic magazines between 2012 and 2015. Because we noticed that a lot of the scientists featured in these magazine stories were men. And across 3 years, we identified 1,100 experts that were featured, and only 200 of them were women, less than 20%. And these are the scientists and explorers that we're featuring. And so, yes, while we all grew up on National Geographic, we grew up on a certain type of explorer in those pages. And so we set out to kind of show a new type of explorer in the pages of National Geographic.
Where people pretty much, I'm on board. And then you say, but you've got to tell the truth. You've got to be transparent in the way that you got there, the walls that you faced and the mountains that you took down.
Yeah, I think it was a journey. I think the current leadership at National Geographic is 100% on board with showing a new face, a new type of science and explorer of who represents National Geographic, and they're doing a fantastic job. But I think 10 years ago, it was not like that. And I think Gabby and I have both been explorers at National Geographic for almost a decade now, and we've seen a real evolution in that, and that's a good thing. That's a really, really good thing.
I think we've entered this new age of, because I teach at different universities, broadcasting and things like that, and one of the things I give them right in the very beginning, I say, do you want me to teach you from the textbook, or do you want me to give you radio reality? And they all choose radio reality, so it's about getting your hands dirty. Yeah.
It is about dealing with the kind of uncomfortable legacies and realities of radio, media, and what it's given us, and to kind of grow from that. So I think that's great advice.
Technology has changed so much. We were talking about astronauts a little bit earlier, and I remember talking during the pandemic to several different astronauts who claimed that it'll be the Generation Z that'll create the tools that it's going to put man up on Mars, man and woman up on Mars, and so how much has technology changed in your life? I mean, you teach STEM. I mean, you're right in there.
Yeah. So I'm 37 years old, and technology has changed tremendously. I think the tools for us to go to Mars have already been built. It's about kind of just deploying them. I think where the next generation Gen Z is really going to accelerate is communication and innovation. It's not just going to Mars. It's, finding a way to sample Mars. It's finding ways to fly around Mars. It's doing all these other more innovative stuff, thinking outside the box. And I think, and doing in a more inclusive way, too. And I think that's where this next generation is going to really excel. I mean, I'm more optimistic than the generation of kids younger than 18 than I am my own, again. And so that's kind of why we wrote this book.
Wow. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but was it not a woman who invented or was a major part of the team that put that flying thing up on Mars, up there with Perseverance?
Yeah. So there is a woman in our book named Sarah Stewart Johnson, and she has been involved in almost all of the Mars rovers that have been deployed to Mars. And she's the youngest one to be involved in all of them. She started working on Mars rover missions when she was in college. Now, most of the technology that got us on Mars was, led by men. And that field continues to be predominantly male driven, but it is changing. And I think Sarah's story in our book, she's a mom, she's got 2 kids. She talks about. She's also a writer. She authored, award-winning book last year about Mars science, and I think her story shows that women women today face additional challenges, and it makes it a little bit harder.
Wow.
And to be real about that, and but to still persevere. And I think her story is a great one, and one of the many great ones in our book that you should check out.
I can't thank you enough for this book, No Boundaries. I know that there will be no boundaries, and people will grow from it. Clare, you got to come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I welcome that, and I'm just so glad you could feature our book. We're trying to get in the hands of as many young people as possible to continue to inspire them and to encourage them on their journeys to follow their curiosity.
Absolutely. Well, you be brilliant today, okay?
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you.